Welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to Soundcheck, our podcast with Ridenour and Robinette and
Jason Sedaway.
You know, we could have called it Ridenour, Robinette,
and Sedaway.
That doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, that doesn't.
Let's just keep it.
Anyway, welcome to another episode of Soundcheck with Ridenour and Robinette. Today's going to be fun. It's going to be rocking. Our guest Tim Charron will be here in a little bit.
Tim who?
Tim Charron.
Tim Charron?
Am I saying it wrong? Because that's what I've been...
It is Tim Charron.
Okay.
I just wanted you to say it a couple times because that's part of what we do.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Tim Charron.
will you welcome Tim Charron?
I don't know why it isn't spelled differently, though, because it looks like Sharon.
Looks like Sharon.
No, Sharon. It might be Tim Charron.
So...
Oh, I think it is Tim Charron. We're going to find out when he gets here. I don't think it's Sharon, because
Maybe we
Sharon would have
should
been
call-
C-H-A-R-O-N-E.
Maybe we
It's
should-
C-H-A-R-R-O-N.
Maybe we should call him right now on his way and go, listen, dude.
Hang on. Dude, you don't think he's going to get a kick out of this? We're going to put
Welcome
this
to
in the
live
video.
filming.
We're going to put this right in the video. Let's see.
Woo!
Let's see if he picks up.
Yeah. We're rolling.
We're rolling. All right, we don't have to tell him.
Jimi.
Hey, is it Sharon or Sharon? Sharon.
Sharon, like my Sharona.
I told you.
All right, so we'll see you in about 20 minutes or so.
All right, cool.
All right, buddy. All right. So Tim Charron is going to be our actor, producer, guitar player, songwriter. Also has his own agency, own music talent agency. We had some pretty solid artists on there. I'll let him talk about that. He's been around for quite a while. Good-looking, beautiful young man. He has some stories to tell. He's been playing around here for quite a long time. I've seen him at several shows. Seen him at some big shows. He's also opened up for some pretty heavy country acts as well.
Yeah.
He has a video that's been streaming for years. We was on stage with Bret Michaels from Poison. And we're going to talk about his history, where he's been, what he has coming up.
And what's going on.
And meanwhile, right here at Podcast, things are going really smooth. I want to thank everybody who has been chiming in, the views, the comments, subscribers. Anybody who wants to subscribe, we appreciate you hitting the button, hitting the ringer, hitting the bell. We'd love to have you be part of what we do here weekly or bi-weekly, whatever it may be. Jason Sedaway, thank you for doing a great job with our podcast.
J Money.
All the editing and the hard work that you put in behind the scenes here at Soundcheck. We appreciate it. Keith,
What's happening, man?
you're kicking. I want to say hi to Keith and his wiggling foot. Let's have a hand for Keith's wiggling foot. It has been wiggling since we started.
Okay.
Tie that thing
no,
down.
don't stop it, because it's part of what we do now.
I know. Sometimes we get comments and go, man, love the show. Dude, can you stop your foot?
No. They're jealous.
Stop the
Because
foot.
they're trying to do it on their end. They can't do it. Keep the foot going.
I think I should
So
sit like
Keith, what
this,
do you
that way.
have going on right now? So
We're rocking the podcast today, working on some new songs, and going to start playing out soon with my brother and another good friend, Scott Avery. We're going to do like an acoustic unplugged trio.
do you have a name for it?
Not yet.
Do you just want to call it after your own name?
I don't know, dude. You tell me. You're the one who books the acts, you know?
Well, I do book the acts. It depends on what your goals are. If you just want to play around every once in a while, just have some fun, call it whatever the hell you want to call it. Nobody gives a shit. But, if you want to make money and you want it to be money generated and you want to do a lot of shows, you might want to take a little bit of time to focus maybe. The name thing when it comes to trios is just not such a big catcher. Once they come see you, once they enjoy it, they don't really care what your name is. But you got to make something solid. Make sure you do some promo. Make sure you get an Instagram page. Make sure you get a Facebook page. You don't need a website. Always, a lot of content. People like content.
Right,
If you could put a video or something you guys strumming or
I'll put us in
around.
rehearsal. I'll put us doing
Yeah,
live.
and snippets.
Yep.
So that's going good
it's
for
gonna
you.
be
How's
fun.
the songwriting going? Everything going good? Are you
Everything
open
is
for
cool.
business?
Everything is cool. Definitely open for business. We're doing the photo session with the Ad and Sync group, and we're actually going to come up with a new name for that as well. So that'll be happening in the month of April. So yeah, we're rocking. I see you got a new tattoo, man. That's pretty cool.
I do have a new tattoo.
Tell us about the pain level.
Well, why don't I tell you about where you got? Listen, like every interview, Keith, we've
Let's
gone
talk
over this
about
several
where
times.
you got it done.
Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I enjoyed the process, and I enjoy the tattoos that I got, just like almost anybody else. whatever tattoo that I've had, which I've had several, it's either a moment in my life or something that reminds me of something, maybe a family member who passed away, something or someone. This particular one is my Aztec tribal, what else they call it? Tribal free bird. So the free bird is where it came in. I just like the way it looked. I like the way the colors. I like it kind of has like a red, white, and blue, more like a, what do they call that? Like an Indian kind of color to
Vibe
it.
to it. Did you get it because of the new band, your new band, Freebirds?
No, I don't think I would base it on a band because bands come and go. It's just where I'm at in my life right now.
And where'd you get it done
I won't go through the lyrics of Freebird because it'll be a little too uncomfortable for me. But it's kind of like where I'm at in my life. So I did that. Now I'm sure my kids love it. Other people might think, oh my God, don't ever do a hand tattoo because once you've done the hand, well, you're fully committed and there's no longer hiding it. Well, in my business and where I'm at in my life, at my age, at this point, I don't give a shit.
Well,
and
lots of guys.
I want to do it because it makes me happy.
Yeah, lots of guys. I mean, Keith Urban, I watched him the other night. He's got a hand tattoo. He's had it for a while now.
Oh, yeah.
His right hand,
oh, my God. You just compared me to the biggest rock star in the entire earth, and I'm sitting here in the living room with you.
And let me say this while we're on Keith Urban.
Yes.
One of our local songwriter artists, Maggie Ba, was on stage at the CMT Awards the other night, playing and singing right next to Keith on.
Well, did you watch the whole video? Oh, well, of course you did.
Yeah, it was funny. We just got home. I went right to the TV, turned it on because we thought we may have missed it. Her dad had texted me and said, "Hey, tomorrow night, this has happened." And of course, we were excited. And all of a sudden, as the TV came on, it was going to break, and it said, "Coming back as soon as we come back, coming right up is Keith Urban." I thought, "Wow, perfect timing." It was great. It was great.
Did you notice them right away in the back of the?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she was playing mandolin. She was playing mandolin. I remember one time when we had the studio in Nashville, I was at the Wild Horse and she was playing regularly. And I was sitting at the bar and I said, I have a picture when I first met her and started working with her. She was 13. We were at Marquee. So I said to the bartender, I showed her a picture and I said, "Do you know who that is?" And she was like, "No, who is that?" I go, "That is that girl up on stage right now." And she was like, "You're kidding me." I go, "No." That was pretty cool.
She just opened up. I don't say opened up for me. Well, I guess she kind of did. I just did a show at the church,
St. Coleman's.
At St. Coleman's, and she went on, and I have a picture of me and her. But I had no idea who really. I mean, I knew she was. Of course, you got Pedro the gig with her.
Yeah,
I'm sure you got some other cats the gig with her.
Yeah,
I really didn't know who she was. I watched her performance. She was amazing. Her band was awesome. They had a real simple band too.
Oh yeah,
just like three guys behind her. She was amazing. People would go crazy. Then when she got up stage, I saw this line of people from her. So like, oh, this is something.
Yep,
I mean,
it's been like that for a while.
Yeah, it's old news. In other words,
no. I'm just saying. When she was 15, maybe, or before that, somewhere between 13 and 15, she came up at Marquee and basically there's 20 people up front. And she's like, "Anybody want to hear my new original?" And just rocked on the fiddle. In front of everybody, I went, "Oh, she's definitely got something."
No shit.
then we wrote a song together called Midnight Mud, and when she was 15, we did a video out in the woods. We had Sawgrass Ford, their monster truck.
She's doing it.
Oh,
how old is she now? About?
I think 24.
Well, when she was there, she was amazing. And congratulations, Maggie. We should have her on.
We should if we can get her in town.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So congratulations to Maggie.
You're
representing
rocking it, kid.
South Florida. Great job. We're really excited. Tim Charron
is going
to be here. He's got a great story to tell. He plays all around town, so you might want to look him up, Tim Charron Music, on Facebook if you'd like. And what else do we want to share? Oh, real quick, Jimmy Fiano, once again, his response to his interview here on the podcast was amazing.
Rocking.
I want to thank Jimmy for being part of that. You can see any of our interviews, any of our podcasts on our page, Soundcheck with Ridenour and Robinette. Make sure you go there. You have to go through YouTube, hit subscribe. If you have any input and you want to leave a comment down below. And if you know anybody that wants to be on our podcast, any advertisers or anybody who wants to come tell their story, let us know and we'll be happy to get them on here. So stick around with us.
We'll be right back.
We're going to come right back.
thank Tim Charron for being here and busting it out. Amazing show. It rocked. This guy rocked on.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to podcast with Ridenour and Robinette. Let's put our hands together, everybody. Thank you so much. We're excited. We have Tim Charron with us. Tim Charron,
buddy
Keith.
boy.
Tim
Buddy
Charron.
boy, buddy boy.
Thank you for being here, my friend. Tim Charron. Very excited to have him here. Tim, how's it going, brother?
Great. Excellent.
A lot of people have been asking us to get you on the show. We got a great response when people found out that you were going to be part of our podcast. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored.
So we're going to start. People were asking me.
Are we going to start with questions?
We're going to start with Fred from the get. What do you got going on right now? Let's just start just by chance. What do you have going on right now? Do you have any shows coming up right now?
Yes, we do. We have an exciting one in Miami Beach at the end of the month. I believe it's the 28th. It's for Earth Day, and it is going to be at the Bass Museum on Miami Beach. And we were slated to do it last year. We were super excited, did all this promo and everything, and then it got rained out. So
is that the full band?
Excited.
Full band?
Yeah, full band.
So Tim Charron Band, April.
End of April.
End of April.
End of
April
April.
28th.
So if they want to see any of your shows, they just go to your website.
Yep,
Or your Facebook
timcharron.com, like my Sharona.
Okay.
My Sharona.
Yep, it is the 28th. So at Earth Day celebration right there in Miami Beach. I believe it's like maybe 5 o'clock to 7 or something like that. So it's kind of midday. And
So are you doing
looking forward
originals in that show? Just covers or combo or?
You know, that's a great question. I always do what the venue wants me to do, you know.
Good call.
And some venues, I have a little story for this actually. Some venues want you to do all covers or more covers.
Sure.
But 99% of my shows, I will do 75% covers.
And then pepper in the
Yep,
originals.
exactly.
Right,
Probably
right.
they don't even know the
They don't,
difference.
most
but they
people
can know the
wouldn't.
difference.
You know,
Yeah.
especially if your covers and your originals are in the same vein, in the same
Yeah.
genre.
Which
you
they-
know, it's
they
kind
are
of more
very
country
much.
stuff, I'm guessing.
Yeah, country
Yep.
rock with a twist of lime.
There you go.
Not the first time he said that one.
We have to get that lime on the podcast
Yeah, put
somewhere, like
lime.
the little lime
Like a
walking
little lime.
across.
The
There
actual
he
lime.
goes.
Hey, and who's in that band? Joey's in the band with you?
Yeah, we have. You know, I have various lineups.
Yeah, I know that, yeah.
For
Who's your most steady?
logistics.
Who's your most steady?
Well,
guys?
Joey's actually been like my he's my rock. So Joey
Right.
Ojeda, he's
Yeah.
been
And who's
with me
playing
for
drums?
like 7 years. My man Jay Wood, who moved, he was my drummer up in New England because I have a lineup in New England when I go up there because that's where I'm from, and I flew him down to play a show last year on Miami Beach. And convinced him to move down. Him and his wife
Oh, so now they're down here.
sold their house in Connecticut
No
and moved
shit.
down.
Moved down.
Delray
And who's
Beach.
playing guitar?
Most of the time it's Tropical Nelson.
Yeah.
Nelson Rodriguez. He's
Nelson's
awesome.
great, man.
Did he do the band show with you a few weeks ago? Was he the guy I saw there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the band was
Must
super
have been.
tight.
yeah,
Yeah.
Great
Nelson's
show.
great.
Nelson has the most freaking amazing tone. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what kind of sorcery he's doing, but his tone is just
And what's his
absolutely
name again?
monstrous.
What's his name?
Nelson Rodriguez,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yep.
I knew him from tropical music. with
Yes,
Joey.
yeah,
Tropics?
yeah, back in the
Tropics?
day.
No, Tropical Music was a export, I guess you'd call it export music company
Right.
that him and Joey worked at together.
Yep.
And they would export gear to all over South America.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, that's the short story.
Yeah.
And I met him down there.
Who else does he play with? I'm just curious.
Nelson, he goes by Tropical Nelson. It's kind of his
Oh, okay.
nickname.
Stage name.
His stage name,
Is
exactly.
he in other cover bands?
He plays in Whiskey All Stars in Miami.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know that.
No, I was just curious because I
Yeah.
usually recognize the name. I didn't recognize the name.
Yeah.
So for people want to know, let's start in the beginning because people always like to know where you're from. Of course, I did my research, so I kind of know some of the answers. But share with our viewers where you're from
When you got down here and, all that kind of stuff.
how the transition worked into. Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? What?
Originally from Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yep.
And you grow up there?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so what, into your teens?
Yep. I left when I was about 19.
So you were already playing up there then?
Yeah, I started in a little band. My stepbrother and I, we started a little band. He played drums, I sang, and we started a little band in the basement in high school. We played one keg party when I was 15. And then, all we did was rehearse for like a year. And then we played one keg party. And then the second show, the first real show that we ever played was at the high school, at North Kingstown High School. And it was everything. It changed my life completely. It was incredible because it was in the cafeteria and they have a stage, naturally a stage in the cafeteria. But they brought in like this full rock star production.
PA lights, everything?
Everything, spotlight, everything, the whole 9 yards. So, there was a couple other bands that played before, and there was a lot of people there, and it was okay. But so then I had the idea. I was like, okay. I went up to all my friends. I'm like, all right, listen. When we start playing, we're gonna play an intro song, and it's the old Elvis Space Odyssey intro that he used for his comeback or something. My mother's a huge Elvis fan, so I use that for, and I still use it for all my big
intro?
shows now. Yeah,
Oh,
I
no
still use
kidding.
it. Yeah. So I said, when the intro starts, everybody go to the front of the stage, right? So I'll never, I'll never forget. So I'm like behind the stage, and I still do the same exact thing, right?
You were producing right then.
Yeah.
Okay. You do this. You do that.
Yep.
I need everybody here.
Yep. And then I had my band. So we had the Space Odyssey music going. Everybody came to the front of the stage. Then I told my band, like, all right, you guys go into the first song, and I'm gonna come running out, when the first verse comes in. So
He's not even touring yet, or not even. He's
I'm
really got a
16.
vision.
I'm 16.
Oh, that is great.
I get goosebumps every time
I wonder
tell
if
the
mom
story.
or a family has any picture or video of that, because that would be a classic.
Oh, we have video and everything from
and that was
the
at the high school.
at the high school.
So that's kind of like where it
That's when it
started,
started.
where the blood started pumping.
Oh, dude.
You're in a band with your brother,
Yeah.
rehearsing in the basement, and frozen down Rhode Island. I lived up in New England,
Yes.
and I know it gets cold up there.
Cold and gray and
And where in Rhode Island? Did you mention that? What area in Rhode Island?
I was
for the
born
people?
in Warwick, and then I lived in North Kingstown and Exeter and Narragansett.
So you went to high school up there, and you realized that you can sing and a little bit, and you could strum guitar, and that's where it started. So you got a band together. Oh, he mentioned for the viewers out there, this might be in my way. For the viewers out there, he mentioned a keg party. So some of you younger folks may not know exactly what a keg party is.
Let us explain
And
this.
man, did I play keg parties.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not about me. Keg parties are great. So the kids all bring kegs.
Yep.
Most of them are drinking illegally. They get the little, they do the pump.
Yep. And you hold the thing up in your.
Maybe do a keg stand.
Yeah.
Maybe a keg stand. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then sometimes they fill up the tubes of
Yep,
whatever
that's
those
what I
were.
remember.
There's the funnels.
Yep.
Yep.
And so
Jeez.
the people, all the kids, they sit around, they drink from this keg, and the music starts up, and you're rocking. So that's where you started out, keg parties. I love that.
Yep. And in that one show, we came out. I came running out, had the spotlight in my face, and my mom was in the front row, and my father and my stepmother were like up against the far wall, watching because they didn't want to be in the middle of the mix, and I just like it's this frozen memory.
Memories.
It's a
So you
moment.
remember that? That's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was everything. I was like, this is shit.
Yeah, this is it. This is the deal.
This is it.
But when you were done, you knew you wanted to do it again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was completely hooked.
So tell us how
And you keep doing it from that point out? You just kept playing, performing?
Yeah, pretty much. I took like 2 years off because I moved down to Florida, but in those basement rehearsals, I would write all the songs, and I didn't know how to write songs, but
You were writing the
somehow
song.
I would just go in my room, during rehearsal, like the guys would play something, and I'd be like, oh, cool, let me take that, and I would just remember it, or I would ask them to keep playing it, and I would write full songs. So I wrote all the songs for the band, and
you were writing songs as a kid then.
yeah. So it was like verse, chorus, bridge, and I don't even know how.
Oh, that's strange because
Yeah.
a lot of kids or younger folks who start out playing, they go through that cover thing for
then
years
they
before
start
they write their
writing.
first
Yeah.
tune.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. You felt like you had something to say, so you would get your little paper and pencil out
Yeah.
and jot down some lyrics, and that is great.
Yeah,
So
And
you
I would
have
come
no-
out with full so the show that I was talking about was half originals and half covers,
Oh,
and all just full.
Yeah.
They just flop out. It's weird.
wow. So then you moved down here,
Yep.
and did you go right to work looking for a band, or did you work something else for a while?
Man, I've done so many things, but
Well, when did you move down here? That's what I'm curious. Like,
Yeah.
you come down here when you were a kid, or did you come
When
down
I-
here in your 20s?
I was like 19, 20.
okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With your family,
No, by myself. Yeah.
by yourself.
Yeah.
So
Well, I came
how
da-
does that happen? I mean,
Yeah.
like you just, tell us how that happened.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly how it happened.
Yeah, because that's what I'm interested
dad
in.
threw me out of the house.
You don't
Well,
just get in the
That's
car.
part of it, but that's part of it.
Here it
So-
comes.
I was asked to leave nicely.
You guys want to hear
Go
a
ahead,
crazy
please.
story?
Yeah, so- yeah, that's what
I'll
we're
try
here
to tie
for.
this all in together.
Yeah.
So I'm like 13 years old, and so this is a whole bunch of like personal life shit, but I can swear on this podcast.
Oh, you can swear, yeah.
All right. So when I went into junior high school, I started getting bullied, right? So I went from having great grades to having no grades. I was a mess, a disaster. I was petrified of life. So I was being a bit of an asshole, to my family, to my mother and stuff, and just acting out, just doing stupid teenage stuff. So I got in trouble, and then my sister's friend used to bring me to concerts, right? And he's like, "Hey, do you want to go to this concert at the Living Room in Providence?" I don't know if you remember that, but
No, I was up in Massachusetts. Yeah, go ahead.
So I went to see Poison on their very first tour in this little club, and I sat on the stage. That's how small the place was. I literally sat on the stage. So I was out until like 2 or 3 in the morning. They pulled the bus up because they weren't big
Right,
yet.
they were just
They
getting
pulled the
going.
bus up and they hung out. There was like 8 of us, and we all hung out. So I'm like there till like 2:30 in the morning, right, hanging out with Poison. So I'm like 13. I'm like, this is the greatest thing
Star
that's ever
Trek,
happened to me
yeah.
in my life. Of course, I get home. My mother is furious, so she decides to kick me out of the house, to go live with my father in North Kingstown. So that's when I moved in with my father because I had gotten in so much trouble. That's how I started the band, because I moved in with my stepbrother who played drums. So that's how we started all of that. I was going to transition into...
Yeah, how did you get to Florida? Did he boot you out? What was
no.
your decision? That's what I'm wondering. How, there's a billion places you could have went. How did it end up here in Florida?
Okay.
And
Well-
that's what I'm curious about.
So I was working 3 jobs, going to school full time, going to college, going to community college in Rhode Island, and working 3 jobs, just grinding. And I just hated the winter. I hated
Everything about it.
yeah. I just always felt like I needed to get out. And one time, my friend and I, he was like, "Hey, man, do you want to?" He's like, "Do you want to go to Florida for spring break?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's." I'm like, "When?" He's like, "This weekend." I'm like, "Okay." So we drive his little tiny car all the way down to Florida.
What year is this around? I'm just curious. The
This
90s?
is, 90s, yeah. So it was like the end of spring break in Daytona.
It would already left Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
It was now in Daytona.
So
I remember that well.
we drive all the way down, and I hadn't really traveled,
Yeah.
on my own much. I think it was 17 or 18, and we go down. We stay with friends from Rhode Island. We go to actual spring break, and we walk out of this hotel on the beach in Daytona,
Daytona or
Beach.
Fort Lauderdale? Where
It was Daytona.
In Daytona, yeah.
And it was it was amazing.
Yeah.
They had the big concerts on.
Right.
And they had all the bikini contests and stuff. And I was like, oh my, I didn't know that this existed in
Right.
life. You know?
Meanwhile, we grew up here,
Yeah,
so we were seeing it when we were kids.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
You guys
that's
knew it all.
great.
We played every wet T-shirt contest
Yeah.
known
It's
to
on
man.
Fort Lauderdale Beach.
Dude, when you're a
Oh, no, I
kid
get
from
it.
Rhode
I get
Island
it. Yeah.
and you see one of those wet T-shirt
Yeah. Oh,
contests,
dude.
you're like, I need to change
Yeah.
my life.
we used to play the candy
Listen,
store for
Florida
like
sounds pretty good.
six nights a week at the candy store.
Oh, my God.
And every night they would, because all the ships would be in the port, a lot of sailors.
Yep.
So we would go on at 8:45, and by 1:45 we were done for the night because they saved the last set for the wet T-shirt contest. So they made everybody wait all night. So every night it was packed.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1:45 we're done. Every night you see the same girls, and there was always 3 or 4 people that they paid to come in. You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Ringers.
Because they never knew who was coming in. But
Yep.
yeah, it was crazy.
We gotta-
I remember
we gotta
playing
bring that back.
I remember playing one in Homestead. 2 psychiatrists bought a club. There was no pool or anything. They just had a wet T-shirt contest, and they turned the lights from the stage onto the dance floor, and they had the girls up there dancing. There was no water.
Dude, they did all kinds of shit back then. They had
Wow.
no water.
mud
We look
wrestling.
at each other and go,
So this is a T-shirt contest.
oh, yeah, exactly. So
Back
anyway,
then
not
you
to
could
interrupt.
No,
you can get naked and not have
It's
and not get arrested for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
spring break in Fort Lauderdale for years. We used to play Summers, Penrod's, Button, but it got so out of hand that eventually it went to Daytona.
Yep.
They wanted everybody off the beach. In my opinion, they
and
wanted
I think I
everybody
was there right at the end when it got out of hand.
In Daytona.
But to me, it was like, oh my God, this
Yeah.
is so much fun, and it's so beautiful in Florida. You know, because we literally left. We're in the snow. You know, we're driving through the ice and
And ended
the
up in
black
heaven.
ice.
And now you
Ended
walk
up
out
in
your
heaven.
door and went, I'm in a movie.
Exactly. So then I go back up and I'm working my 3 jobs. I'm studying. I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, to go work out before friggin' school,
Yeah.
and then go into, like, I had no free time, and it's dark and it's miserable, and I keep thinking of wet
La,
T-shirt
la, la.
contests. You know what I mean?
Did you?
So
and you ended up moving down here.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
right after that.
I was
Oh, that's
living in
great,
Narragansett,
man.
and I remember the exact day. Well, not the exact day, but the exact scene. So, as you know, because you lived up there, you know, everything gets icy and snowy and dirty. I was living with a couple of friends in Narragansett, and I had been thinking about and talking about moving to Florida or California. So I go to my car to warm it up, you know, and I almost fell on the ice on the steps, and I'm like, that's it, I'm out of here. I was out in a week.
Yeah.
See, isn't it funny? There's that one moment.
That moment. And
It happens, man.
Yep. You just crack.
And I had a moment like that too in my life when you just, well, several, but yeah, that's awesome. That one minute is, okay, I need to move.
Yep.
So now you have to move.
Yeah.
So would you come down to Daytona? Did you come with a friend?
Or
did you
did you
drive
come
the
to
car by
Fort Lauderdale?
yourself?
Well, good question. I did have my uncle Al. He lived in Fort Lauderdale. He lives in Boca now. So I did know him. I think that's why I ended up coming down
This far.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So came down to Fort Lauderdale, stayed with him for a few weeks, and then actually I drove down. I think I drove down with my dad. You know, my dad and I had not done much together in my life. You know, my parents were divorced, and he wasn't around much. So that was like a really cool kind of bonding thing.
Yeah.
We drove down together. We stayed at a super cheap hotel. Do you guys happen to know on Fort Lauderdale Beach, the Sea Club Hotel? It's just like this little club. So we stayed in this little hotel. We wake up and he's like, "Hey, do you want to go for breakfast or lunch or whatever at that place right there that we could see?" We went down there. My dad ordered a Black Russian. I was a bartender. Was one of my jobs up in Rhode Island. The girl didn't know how to make it. She's like, "Oh, our bartender just quit." I said, "Well, this is how you make it." And
You got
I
a
said,
job.
And you
"I
got a job.
And where was that? At the Sea
first
Club?
day, the Sea Club Hotel, yeah.
How long were you there for?
I think I was there for 8 months.
For 8 months. And what year? Is this like in the late 90s now?
Yeah.
No kidding. So you started bartending.
That was a
and-
sign.
Yeah.
and-
So I moved right there. I moved right next door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No kidding. Dad went back home.
What's that? Yeah. He just drove
So
down.
you're down here now. There's a picture. That's we set it up for our for our viewers. You come down from Rhode Island, maybe your acoustic in hand, don't have a pot to piss in, you come down with your dad, you end up
Get a
working a
job.
bartender at the C Club. This is why we do the podcast. So that's a great. So where do we go from here? Now you're bartending. Now where do you go from there?
On
moving
the
forward?
beach.
I haven't stopped running since then. I mean, on the beach, I was loving it. And then, I mean, it's crazy. Then I I got in my car. So I had applied to the University of Miami and San Diego State University. So
Continuing your education. You didn't take your education lightly.
no, because when I was in junior high school and high school, I literally failed every single year. And I would have to ride my bicycle like 10 miles to summer school every single year. I didn't even and I mean, I think that it's a lot to do with the bullying. It just set me off on I don't give a fuck about this.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I cared about in school was, being in the band and writing songs and
It was
music.
your escape.
Yeah.
It was that place where you could go have fun, and you weren't going to get bullied, and you had a chance at being cool.
And I was,
That's what it
I was
was.
in control, and
And
I
we
was
like
the cool
the
guy.
chicks. And the chicks.
Well, of course.
Anyways.
But so I didn't even graduate. I didn't graduate. It was crushing. Like I remember finding out that I wasn't gonna graduate because I had failed again, and I felt like the biggest loser in the world. And then they had this little program. They were like, "Well, you can come back and redo the 12th grade, or you can go to the community college and make up your credits, and then you'll get your."
No kidding.
Yeah. So, man, like that changed everything because I started to go to the school, the community college.
You weren't around the bullies anymore.
Yeah, and it was a totally different
Right.
thing. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'm just here. I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I fell in love with like
Oh, learning.
studying because I had never.
So then you came
never
down
applied
here
yourself
and you
before.
wanted to continue your education. You didn't say to yourself, hey, I got a guitar, I'm bartending, things are going okay, my bills are paid, I'm just going to surf on it, put together a rock band and call it a day.
Yeah.
You kept your education going. That's one of our last guests were telling us that education was pretty important in their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I traveled around a bunch after I got to Fort Lauderdale. I moved out to San Diego for like 6 months. Then I got accepted to both of the schools. I decided to go to UM.
Oh, okay.
So I came back from California, went to the University of Miami, played rugby for the University of Miami, which was amazing.
I didn't even know they had rugby.
yeah, neither did I.
Yeah.
Back
So
then,
did
or
you
they
have-
still do?
Oh, I'm sure they still do.
So did you do a?
It's a club.
You had a.
Oh, a
did,
club.
did you have a scholarship to play rugby?
No, I got there in the middle of the year, like middle of the second semester, before the second semester. I didn't really know anybody. And I was like, I love sports. And I was just like,
Dude,
let me
rugby
do
is
this.
Brutal.
It's
man.
brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
I can't even watch it, man.
It's
That shit's
crazy.
violent.
So you're playing rugby, thinking about back about the bullies, going, "I wish you were out on the field now."
Oh yeah. Oh, it was an amazing release, but it was like joining a fraternity, because you
it's
go
very cliquish.
Yeah, you just bond with the the guys on your team because
Right.
you're out there like trying to not
Battle.
you're murdering people and trying not to get killed at the
Yeah.
same time, So it was awesome.
So you finish up at University of Miami.
Yep.
Any music? What were you studying at University of Miami? Was it
Communications.
Music? Oh,
No.
communications.
Yep.
Okay.
So at that point, I wasn't doing much with music. I just had my guitar and I was just not playing out or anything. Then after that, I moved to South Beach and started doing some. I started working as a personal trainer. Started doing some film and TV stuff, and then got back into music.
We're going to hit on that.
Oh yeah.
So that's where we want to go. We're going to take just a short break, and we're going to come back in a few minutes. We got some more good stories with Tim Charron, everybody. Let's get a hand for the energy in the room so far. Stick around. We're just going
Stay
to
with
take
us.
30 seconds. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. We appreciate everybody tuning in, digging the podcast. This is just a quick snippet, we call this, in the podcast TV land about the Southern Blood Band. SouthernBloodBand.com. You're more than welcome to come see us. We play every weekend pretty much. But just to let you know, next coming shows that we'd like you to attend. On April 21st, we're going to be at Cafe 27 in Weston. That's it. Woo! April 21 at Cafe 27 and April 27 at Crazy Uncle Mike's. Going back to Boca Raton. That's right, the Southern Blood Band. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure you subscribe. Woo! 2 times. Welcome back to Soundcheck with Ridenour and Robinette, and we're happy to have you hang in there with us. We appreciate you guys listening into our podcast, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are back with Tim Charron, everybody. A little hand.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, when we take a break, they just want to get out of here and leave. Tim was
He stuck around.
He stuck around.
Man.
He loves the punishment that we're giving him.
Yeah.
So Tim,
Before I forget, Jimmy, I can take my boots off, but just for you, I painted my toenails purple last night because I knew I was going to be on the show.
He is watching my Facebook post. See?
See?
Oh my God.
Oh, that was about the.
Dude, that was wrong, dude. I don't care if Little Steven's Little Steven. I get it, man. But come on, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I saw
guess the goth thing with the hands. He's a 70-something-year-old man. He's been, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you know what's weird, man? That's what I hate about, I mean, I don't hate, but most of my Facebook stuff or Instagram stuff, you put something on there, just a goof.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's going to come after you with a hacksaw. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I think some of the funniest things I see you do is when you put up a picture of like one of the bands and you guys are your heads on some old men's naked
Oh, yeah.
bodies
I
with
mean,
shorts on,
come on, man.
They're
Life's too short.
Speedos, and it's Jimmy's head. Or another one he did once, he's on his motorcycle, right? And he's got his head on this guy. He's got no shirt. He's got muscles bulging out.
Oh, no. That's me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it.
Anyway,
don't
so
get it
Tim, listen, let's not make it about me. Let's make it about you, brother. So we're really excited.
Let's
about
pick up
having
the
you.
story.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to move things along.
Yep.
Because people like when we do that. So basically, you're in Fort Lauderdale right now. You continued your education, your bartending. Where we want to get to is the good stuff. We want to get to the meat and potatoes. So we talked. People don't realize it. They might have seen you live playing music. They might have been on your sites. But let's talk a little bit about the acting. Where was your first acting job? Did that happen down here in South Florida? Did it happen when you were on South Beach? Did you meet someone who gave you an opportunity? I'm guessing
Great
it started
question.
at South Beach?
Yep, I was in South Beach, and it was one of those things that I'm a little obsessed with things that I want to do that for whatever reason, I'm held back. So I just remember, living in South Beach. I started working as a personal trainer, and I'd always kind of thought like, oh, it would be cool to try to do some acting.
commercial?
Modeling or acting, either one, or
A mix.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
And the thing that was holding me back is what I thought people would think. If I said to, especially growing up in New England, it's a different culture.
Right.
If I said to like one of my buddies, like, hey man, I think I'm going to be a model.
Yeah.
Oh, you get torn
They
apart.
would beat me up.
Especially if you were already getting bullied up there. you know?
Yeah. So I had to, kind of battle through that whole psychological thing. And because I was in South Beach and there was a lot of that going on, I knew people that were doing a lot of that stuff, and some people pretty relatively high profile. So I went around to people and asked them like, hey, what do you do? They're like, just get an agent. So went around to a couple agents, got a couple agents, started getting some.
Did you have to get headshots done?
You have to do the
Is that
whole.
the first thing you did?
Yep.
And then the agency will represent you?
Lynn Parks was my first photographer.
What was that?
Lynn Parks was my first photographer. I remember that.
Lynn Parks.
Yeah.
Are we talking, how many were you? Early 20s? 22,
Yep.
24? 20?
Yep. Down here, it's non-union, so you can have multiple agents.
Right.
And so I just went to maybe 5, and I got like 2 or 3, and then they started sending me on things. But interesting enough, so I started doing different little gigs and stuff. and started getting some pretty cool things. I did I think I was on an extra on Bad Boys, and then I was a principal on like a Dewar's commercial and a couple other pretty good sized commercials.
Well, I want to back. I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
You get a call and they say, "I have an opportunity for you. They're looking for someone for this particular thing.
Yeah.
You have to show up at this time, at this place, this time."
Yes.
Okay, so you show up. That's what I want to hear about.
That's the deal. So I literally just yesterday and the day before, I've filmed 6 auditions. But the beauty is now I do it all from my home studio. Most of it.
I mean, currently.
Yes. So back in the day, like
have
you
to
were
go
saying,
there and-
dude, it was
Well,
terrifying.
tell our viewers what. Give me just a gist of it. You walk into a room.
Yeah. So, oh my God, I can feel the anxiety right now. Oh my God. So
what I do.
This is the worst. This is the best and the worst thing ever, right?
Right.
So you're going to go for a American Express commercial, right? So you go to this little office, wherever it is in Miami, and there's 20 or 30 people, and they call it a cattle call, right?
Right.
And you're just sitting there waiting, and you're like, it's so awkward because back in the day, they would give you, okay, here's your lines.
That's what I was going to ask
Oh
you.
my
Do you know what you're
God.
going to say, or
Not till you get there, and then you're hanging out with like 20 or 30 people, and everybody's talking and bit, and I'm sitting there trying to like memorize these lines, and it is hard. It's so brutal because you have them for however long you're waiting, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you go in and you're in front of the casting directors. They're like, okay, get on the mark. Okay, you're going to be doing this, and then all right, go. And you're like, they don't give you any feedback. They literally will be like, and you're like, next. Exactly.
wow?
Okay,
yeah.
so when do
Brutal.
you remember when you got your first call back? Did you have
No.
to go to several before you got a call?
got a first one?
No, did you go to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Or did you do pretty good from the beginning? You actually got a call. And do you remember what your first experience was?
Knowing me back then, I probably went on 20 before I got.
Okay, so
before I
you
one
remember
thing,
your first one. Was
Yeah.
that like a big deal? It had to be a big deal to get your first call.
I mean, I think I started with small stuff like a rollerblading ad, and then when I did one where I was hired as an extra for the Dewar's commercial, and there was like 100 people, and this was good because there wasn't any lines. Back then, I was terrible with lines and with acting because I
So you're just an extra.
idea.
You're just in the background.
Yeah.
Just,
But it was great because we were shooting at this mansion and we were all waiting to go in, and then the directors came out and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be a principal?" So I got bumped up. So all of a sudden, like this whole massive production, it was like me and 2 other people that were the principals. So that was
So there was
a
no
great
real
way to get
anxiety
bumped up.
because you weren't planning on it.
Nope. Yeah, I was
It's just like,
I don't
hey, you
have
want to
do
go?
anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
was that a speaking line by any chance? Okay. Did you eventually you got a few of these gigs? I'm just curious. So like you can do something so simple as being in a split second spot that you might see if you don't close your eyes, it's just gone.
Yeah.
And you might get maybe a couple $100 for it.
Yeah.
And then you might be in something that's a little bit longer and you might get $500 for it.
Mhm.
So eventually you're getting paid for it. When you got paid back then, I don't know how it works because I'm not in that business. Do you get paid by any chance of every time it goes on, or you just get one flat fee and you're done, you're on your way?
For pretty much everything that I've been doing, it's a flat fee. Now, when you get into doing national commercials, usually SAG, which is Screen Actors Guild, then you get into getting residuals. So
It depends on how the
2
contract is
different
laid
levels.
out. You might get $1,500 for the day.
Yep.
But you got to be around there all day long. They might shoot one little tiny snippet.
Mhm.
I have a couple of friends who've done this before.
Yep.
I'm just curious how that works. So now you did it. Now you've done a few of these.
Yeah.
So today, if you started when you were a kid, I don't know how old you are now, but now
Yes.
you've done quite a few of those,
Yeah.
and you still do it.
So yeah, well, so I did that for a few years in Miami, and I realized that, I was fucking awful as an actor.
But you could still do
as
the
a-
extras, right? Maybe you were.
I mean, I could have kept doing that, but it just wasn't.
Were you
ringing
doing
my
the
bell.
music at that point too, or you just hadn't really got back into the music at that point?
I was getting back into it at the same time, and I met these two great friends of mine now that were big Latin music producers.
Uh-huh.
Do you know Kike Santander?
Yeah.
Okay. So I met him and my friend Jose Miguel Velasquez. So Jose Miguel was a voice teacher and songwriter and producer, and he worked with Ricky Martin and all those people. And Kike is one of the biggest producers in the history of Latin music. So I started training them, became really great friends with them, and that's how I started getting back into music.
Go.
And that kind of drew me away from the acting too. But it's interesting because back then I didn't know how to prepare for roles and scripts and stuff. So I think that was why I was so terrible.
Well, if you don't have
but now I
anybody
know.
show you or teach you,
Yeah.
or you're not in an environment where you can learn just by being a sponge, that's the way it's going to be, you know?
And then being around my friends, Kike and Jose Miguel and all that, going to the studio with them and always being around music and them at such a high level, that was my kind of training ground.
Right,
And I didn't have anybody like that in acting.
right.
And now all these years later, I've taken the way I prepare like a complete psychopath with music, and now I just transfer that to acting, and now I'm very confident.
Listen to the story. If you put this picture together, he's in Rhode Island, Jason Sedoway. All right, shit weather, things are going bad, in the basement with the brother. It's just not going good. Moves out of mom kicks him out, gets into dad's house, go to spring break, tits and ass, ends up in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, how great is this? Ends up in South Beach. Are you guys listening to this? This is this kind of stuff that I love. Ends up training, doing little snippet commercials.
Mhm.
Let's talk about it. Let's get to the good stuff because this is what people want to hear. You're a young kid. You're good looking. You're on top of the world right now. There's got to be some lady friends you're running into through your travels. Okay, we won't get into too much of that because I'm guessing you're happily married.
Happily is a strong word.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. So you're on top of the world right now. I mean, even though, let's face it. But the thing is that you don't have the kids, you don't have the wife, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a house. Mm-hmm. You're hustling. You're trying to make a buck. Mm-hmm. You're obviously driven. And now you're working out with these heavy cats. Mm-hmm. Where does it translate into where you kind of are today? Because obviously things started to the decisions you've made, you ended up here.
Well, and you went back to Nashville, right?
Yeah, I moved to Nashville full time in 2009.
How did you make that decision?
Well, there's a whole part in there where things really devolved, and I went through a really difficult period, between that and so basically, and I got slaughtered in the 2008, 2009 because I had some real estate, and I had gotten my real estate license, so I lost everything. Started playing music a lot more, and moved to Nashville. I was broke, completely broke, like upside down because of the real estate. Mm-hmm. Moved with my wife now. We lived
You lived down there. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you went down there. I know when it was upside down because I was actually in a real estate. I was in a mortgage company for 7 years, and I remember that was when all the prime real estate, all the mortgage brokers, the banks, the subprime banks all went out of business.
Yep.
You're right. 08, 09. So you met a woman, a lady who's you're currently in Miami.
Yep. Met her. She's from the Keys. I met her. I started playing duo gigs down in Key Largo. And that's where I met her. Yeah. And then
you guys decided you're going to move to Nashville.
Yep. We got nothing to lose,
Was it to pursue music, or did she have, or you have a connection up there to maybe make some kind of income, or you guys just went up there cold?
Nothing. I had lost everything.
Wow.
you know, I had an oceanfront condo, 345 Ocean Drive. It was my second one. That went into foreclosure, and I just ran. We were dead broke.
Oh,
We
my
didn't
goodness.
know.
You
the
could have
only
went back
person-
to the parents. You could have, right? You could have went to Rhode Island. Was that contemplated or
No,
not a chance?
not for a second.
Not at that.
No.
Not for a second.
I'm not built that way. Yeah,
I ain't going back.
I couldn't if I wanted to. Oh, you know.
So you ended up in Nashville. So please continue.
We moved to Nashville, and then that's kind of how I just started chasing the sun. We realized that there's no money to be made in Nashville. So we're there. It's the middle of the winter. We're like, oh my God, this is miserable. She's from the Keys, so it's culture shock to her.
Right.
So I book some like a month or two of gigs in Key West. So that's what started my whole tour circuit. My whole tour circuit was we would get out of the winter and go and I'd make money in Key West at Irish Kevin's. They'd put me up in an apartment. I'd play there for like 2 months, make a ton of money, go back to Nashville for a couple months, then go up to New England and do the same thing. And play, you know, I would stay with my friend.
And she would go with you to when you were going.
We were gypsies for like 7 years straight.
Wow.
Where we did not live in a
Oh my.
we didn't live in a place for more than 4 months.
And when you first moved up to Nashville, where did you live at? I mean, what neighborhood?
There's a little apartment that we named the Nacho because I think it was like Natchez Trace was the name of it.
Oh, I know that.
But it was right in Hillsborough.
Yeah.
Right in, you know, like Hillsborough, like, you know, Fido's, the coffee shop and stuff.
I used to.
Right across the street.
I found out I was going on a tour in Fido's.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
know Fido's.
Yep.
That was
Like-
right. That's right down on Hillsborough or 21st, right? Or 21st.
It's on, right on 21st and.
I know Fido's.
The road is escaping me, but it's basically right across from Fido's.
Yeah.
Total piece of crap. And then this is great. It's great now. So we lived in like we camped a couple of weeks when we ran out of money. We lived in my friend had on Electric Ave next to Shelby Park. He had bought a little house, and then it was such a dump that he started renovating it, but he had an RV that he let us stay in. So we were living in this guy's RV. It had no running water. We would have to shower at the YMCA in East Nashville. Yeah. I mean, no joke. Like, and you're trying to do like legitimate things and be a legitimate human being, and you're like, oh, all right, I'm gonna go play this writer's night, but I have to make sure I go to the YMCA like 2 hours early so I can shower before the gig. No running water. Not. Yeah.
So you're in Nashville.
Yep.
You're in the RV.
Yep.
No babies yet.
No.
No babies yet,
None
right?
at all.
So you end up coming back.
Literally, all I did was for however many years that was, 4 or 5 years, was played as many gigs as I could get in Nashville. Some of them literally just for dinner. Star Cafe, I don't know if you know Star Cafe. You know,
because they fed you?
Yep. You would go there. That was the whole deal. Like you get a meal and they would, Smidge, Nicole, my wife, they would give her a meal too. So they were very gracious. And then $25 gigs, blah, blah, blah. Then
$25
I would just,
oh my
and
God.
tips. And sometimes, that's a whole other thing. Sometimes they wouldn't have the money, but so then I just started going back and forth. And that's how I came up with the whole concept of, I have a song called Chasing the Sun, and my first full record was called Chasing the Sun, because that's literally, I just try to pull stuff from my actual life. That's what we would do. We would be in Nashville. We're like, oh, the weather's miserable here. So let's go during the winter, go to the Keys to make money. I'd play 6, 7, 8 times a week, 4-hour gigs on a bar stool, solo acoustic, back up to Nashville, play as many gigs as I could, up to New England for a month, 2 months, 3 months, get as many bar, restaurant gigs as I possibly could. And then
Were you booking yourself the whole time?
Oh yeah, always. And then that was my little triangle, and that's how
But
I made a
eventually
living.
the triangle stopped. Eventually the circus had to end.
Yeah.
Your life
Thank
is.
God.
I mean, let's face it. Hopping from here to here to here to here. Eventually, that runs out of gas.
Oh yeah.
So you end up. Where do you end up relocating to? Where you had some kind of stability? Was it Boca? Was it Highland Beach? Was it Fort Lauderdale?
We went back to Miami Beach.
Right.
Then down to the Keys for 2 years, Key West, back to Miami Beach, then over to Clearwater Beach for 2 years during COVID.
Damn, you didn't
Yeah,
stop. You
because-
kept
because I
going.
think-
I know, like I kind of stopped, but I didn't stop.
I think when I met you, I think you were in South Beach though.
Yeah,
Because
probably.
I remember I seeing a picture of you guys out on the balcony. Is that South Beach?
Yeah, the big balcony.
Yeah.
So you ended up in Clearwater during COVID?
Yeah, because so South Beach, when things started to open back up and they let people back on the beach
Yep.
and out, it got super violent, super dangerous, super bad crowd. There was the reason why we decided to move, like we were talking about with Rhode Island, and boom, you just make a decision. This was an easy decision. We were like, oh man, it's getting crazy. There's so many gangs. It was
Wow.
totally flipped upside down. Then a girl was murdered in the building next to us on a Tuesday. Nobody knows what happened. Then on a Friday, 4:00, we have our balcony, the door open, our balcony, and there's 4 gunshots in the alley below us, and it felt like it was right. It was so fucking loud.
Right.
That was it.
And
We're out.
Smidge was like freaking out. I'm like, we're out. Let's go. I literally went on Google Maps and I looked for a walkable beach neighborhood, and I looked all the way up and down both coasts, and I was like, Clearwater Beach, boom, let's go.
So you went there, strummed the guitar for a couple more years.
Yep.
And COVID's over now.
Yeah,
How long have you been over here in Highland Beach?
about a year and a half.
Okay, so
So
I
you
just
came
told
from there
everybody
to-
where he lives
Yeah.
in case you want to drive by the house
Yeah.
in Highland Beach.
Yeah.
Here's
you
the
need the
address,
address.
by the way.
I hate to
Will
say-
you put that up?
I hate to say pathetic
And here's
as I
his phone
am.
number too.
I hate to say as pathetic as I am, but I do celebrity homes, because I'm a motorcycle guy. So I know where quite where Rod Stewart lives, Howard Stern,
Really?
Kevin James. Oh my God, you
Dude, really? Take you on the bike
It's
one
all
day
it's
and
all
show
on
me.
public. It's all on public information. Unless it was both their LLC, a corporation, but you could plug in all these people. Yeah, Billy Joel. But the reason I mentioned that is because I love that area where you're at. Is that considered? I know it's Highland Beach, but it's considered Delray more or less. It's right down the street from Delray, right?
Yeah, it's actually considered Boca.
Isn't
But
that
it's-
part of
Oh,
the
yeah.
beach? Because I know we've taken the kids. We're going to take the grandkids up. We're going down for a drive up the beach.
Yeah.
I know we've been in that area. It's from where to where? Because I know you can tell once you
Just
hit
south of Linton to Spanish River.
Linton Spanish River.
right, and then you would go back if you want to head west at Spanish River and go over the bridge, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
And
no, I know. I remember that area. Great area.
I'm obsessed with Deerfield Beach.
Best beach.
because
The best beach that I think
love it.
you can go to, because you can go down there at night, hang out.
Yep.
There's plenty of restaurants, bars, whatever you want to do.
And I play beach volleyball. I've been playing since I lived in Miami,
Oh, okay.
right there on Ocean Drive.
kidding.
So yeah, I just started getting back into it. Started actually taking classes on Deerfield Beach and have been playing for the past month. So I
My
love.
buddy
I love
Tim
Deerfield.
Straight, Tim Straight does that. You know Tim Straight? You don't know Tim
No.
Straight? Yeah, he's a local rock and roll singer.
Oh yeah.
Young guy. Yeah, he did that professional. I'm not professionally, but I mean, like he was with tournaments and he's traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beach volleyball guy.
Oh,
I
it's
never
the
knew that
best.
about you.
Oh, it's
See,
the
that's
best.
what we find out about
That's what we
this podcast.
find
It's
out
the
when
little
we
things.
dig
So
in.
That's one of my
moving
obsessions,
forward
yeah.
right now. So basically, you're hustling. You're doing some of the acting stuff. You're still strumming guitars. You're singing. Your band is moving forward.
Yeah.
I noticed that you, because I've known you for a little bit, you make sure you kind of handpick your gigs. You don't
Yep.
just play anywhere just to play anywhere. You
Yeah.
don't want to just play at Joe's bar or no
You want
offense
it to be a
Joe,
show.
but you
Yeah.
don't just I guess what could I say in a nice way? You don't just whore yourself out. You kind of
Right.
handpick gigs.
Not
I
anymore.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I'm a former
If
whore.
someone wants you to strum guitars or solos, duos, you're always open for that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
and the band is kicking right now. You're still doing some of the acting stuff.
Any commercials we could see in coming up?
Man, I just shot one for T-Mobile and Tractor Supply store in
Tractor
Nashville.
Supply's gotta be
Where would we
Nashville.
see something?
Yeah,
like this?
it
We're gonna
was.
send
It was in Nashville.
They just come on random. Are they local? Like
Well, Tractor Supply will be Nashville.
That will be national. I was in Elle King's one of her last videos. Do you know Elle King?
I remember that.
Yeah.
That's right. You were like in a scene, right?
I was the only. It was me.
It was like you were in bed
and
or
her.
something, right?
Yeah, I was in
Yeah,
bed.
they were like-
tell people where they could see that. What is that, Elle King? What is that?
Oh, you can see it on
She's a big
YouTube.
artist.
Yeah, she's a huge
Huge
artist.
artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's huge national. It's called Dear Alcohol. It's a duet, her and a rapper named Dax. So in the video, it's Dax, Elle, and me.
I
It's
remember
great.
that. You
Yeah.
know what? Now that you mention it, I remember you had a snippet or something on when it happened. I was like, holy shit.
And that was super cool. So
he's in bed with her.
I was in bed with her. We were pretty much
That's right.
half naked.
Yeah.
And I told the director, I'm like, look, I'm such a weirdo. I'm like, look, man, I really need to take my pants off for this scene.
Why is that weird?
I don't know. I think he thought it was a little weird, but I was like, I need to take my pants off for this scene so that it looks like I'm really, in bed. with her.
Yeah. Was the wife on set? Or no?
Nope. But the interesting part is, it's like it's fun. It's fun
Get
doing
the
this
good
stuff,
shit,
right?
man.
So we're staying in this stinky little cottage in Nashville, right? That I was renting, and they don't tell you. Well, they don't usually give you a call sheet till like the night before. So I knew I was shooting a video, but I didn't know who it was for. And
No shit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like
And-
you just show up. It could have been Britney Spears. You wouldn't have known.
Well, they sent it to me the night before, and Smidge is, and I have Elle King's music on my playlist and stuff, so I like her as well, but Smidge really likes her. So I'm like, we're in the cabin, and I'm like getting my clothes ready for the morning, and I'm like, you're never gonna guess.
Why, she's a fan or she's not a fan?
No,
Yeah,
or
she
she
likes
is.
her. Yeah.
And she saw that you were going to be in the sack with her, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds good. Okay, do your best."
Oh
honey."
yeah, man, she's the best. Yeah,
So if you don't
Make
mind,
it look real, honey.
is it okay if we talk about a little bit about your personal life? I want to make sure. we
Oh
don't-
yeah.
Okay, so you have little ones? You have
No.
no.
Nope.
Okay, good.
me.
Well, that's why he's pretty happy right now. Is it something like this? So you guys are now in Highland Beach, and you're hustling. You're playing music. You're acting. You're living your life, and things are going pretty good right now.
Yes, very good. Very, 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 very.
Tell me a
very
little
busy.
bit about the talent agency. I noticed that on your site. Now, how does that work? Like, let's say I wanted to book one of your artists. Would your number? How does that work? Like, would your number come up if I wanted to book one of your artists? I know you seem to have a few artists on that. Is that something that's actively? Is that something you work on? Is that something? Is that a daily? Is that a side gig? As far as the agency, is it? Did you actually start a corporation? Is that?
Oh yeah.
A licensed agency?
Yep. So I got the license. I just redid the license. And I can nerd out about business all day. So stop me if I go too long. So basically, I've been booking myself for all these years, and I just decided that number one, well, I had a whole thing like during COVID. So maybe this will also, I started many things after I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. So for the past...
What is Lyme disease for the people?
Lyme disease is when you get bit by a deer tick,
Okay.
and it can be debilitating, and it's really hard to...
Mentally, physically, or both?
All, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Mentally, it can give you all sorts of issues. And so in my case, it gave me about 12 years of debilitating back pain. And then it started really devolving. So all the shows, like I've opened for all these people and like all these big shows, there was not one show that I was not in excruciating pain. So that's what, like a lot of people don't, obviously they don't see, or you don't want them to see.
Right.
So during COVID, things started getting really worse. I developed this heart condition. I was passing out every day. I was in bed for a few months This is when we're in Clearwater. And, so I just started going to a billion doctors. I'm going to just try to make this real quick, but a billion doctors. I got admitted to the hospital because I had bradycardia, which makes your heart, it's not beating fast enough. So I finally, through a fan of mine, Nancy, thank you, somehow she has a Lyme disease specialist in Rhode Island. And I get hooked up with this guy, and I get treated with doxycycline, friggin' antibiotic, oral, 3 months, 4 months. And since then, slowly and steadily, everything's gotten better and better. So when I realized, oh my God, I think I can get better, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start acting again because I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to do it for fun. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I've been doing all of these bookings, let me start a booking agency, and just see how it goes.
Right.
Those two things were kind of things that I started as like side hustles that I was like, I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm just going to do it.
It's another source also, another source of
another
income.
revenue stream.
Another revenue.
That's
we all
you
know.
definitely know in the music business you need several revenue streams.
Several sources.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Like exactly.
So you start the agency, you get the agency going, you feel yourself getting a little bit better.
Yep.
For the people who, maybe there's people out there that do have that same condition, the medication that you take, is that for the rest of your life, or are you pretty much?
Me, I took it for 3 or 4 months. Mm-hmm. And it's just mind-blowing because the Lyme disease it's mysterious. It causes all these conditions, but
it literally in your blood.
What's that?
Is it it's in your blood?
Yeah, and it can actually get like move around in your body, and they think that's what happened. That it went to my heart, and I could have died.
Shit.
I could have died because they say the only way to diagnose the Lyme carditis is by doing what do you call it after you die? Autopsy.
Autopsy. Yeah.
So
how did they find out then? I mean,
so the craziest thing is, so I was diagnosed with it, right? I did all these crazy tests in the hospital. I take the doxycycline, and then I get retested, and it's gone.
How is your health today?
Better and better and better and better.
So are you having massive back issues as you continue?
For the first time in literally 12,
because here
13,
you are,
14 years.
you're also a physical guy. You're a gym rat. You're also a trainer, so you know about the body.
Yep.
So as this deterioration was happening, you're tripping. Your wife is losing her fucking mind right now.
Yep.
And your life is falling apart. You go see this doctor.
In Rhode Island.
In Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. How ironic, out of all the states in the
you're
country.
You're going back up there to a doctor.
I didn't actually go. I did it.
Oh.
And then
but even still, he's in Rhode Island.
Yeah. So you're good now.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So that's great. So now you're healthy. You're kicking. Music's going. You're doing your acting somewhat part time. I guess you're still hustling.
Yeah, I mean it's the acting has really exploded.
Seems like every other week you've got something going on with it. I've been watching it.
Yeah, the past couple of weeks have been really super.
Is it the same agent? Yeah. Is it the same person still?
Well, that's the other thing is for 90% of it, I do all my own bookings. I'm my own agent.
How are you finding out about the audition?
Castingnetworks.com. And Actors Access.
So get
nowadays
on there.
it's so different. It's not like back in the day in South Beach or LA when you have to go on the castings, you have to have an agent. Now I can be my own agent. The one that I got in Nashville is from, a different agent. They're an agent in Chattanooga. But I did want to answer real quick with the booking agency.
Yeah.
So that was something that I started kind of on the side, and then it started to roll because of all the connections that I've built. That it started to roll.
With all the places you've played. Yeah.
So now, like on Friday, I had 3 acts over on a lot of stuff on the West Coast from when I was in Clearwater. I had 3 acts over on the West Coast, and we do stuff with the city of Fort Lauderdale, the city of West Palm. The city of Clearwater.
When you say we, you mean that your agency will be hired by these cities for you to put together a show? Or acts?
Yeah.
Just like my agency, sort
Exactly.
of. But,
Yeah.
but on a bigger scale.
Like we did last year, we did for the city of Miami Beach. So we performed at Carnival on the Mile in 2020. And then they remembered me because, you know, we had a great time. And so last year for spring break, the city of Miami Beach did a big festival, 3 stages right on Ocean Drive for 3 days. So they hired us to book. They had a country stage, so we booked every single act on the country stage, including the Nationals. You know Craig Campbell? Oh, and we had the Swan Brothers.
Oh, I know the Swan Brothers. That's how I broke my fibula.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I know the
It's
Swan
all
Brothers.
full circle.
Thanks for that one, Tim.
No,
That's for another
just to
podcast.
clarify, the Swan Brothers are great. It's just I was
I'm just
with
messing
them.
with you. So if anybody out there, let's say I have several people that want to put on shows, concerts, festivals, they can get a hold of you through timcharron.com.
timcharron.com or charronagency.com, which goes to the same website. It's just a separate page. So timcharron.com, you can get everything.
And some of the questions that I got through Messenger off the top of my head. Well, one definitely was what was the biggest show to date that, let's say, whoever it was, whatever the biggest show that you played in as many people, where you basically were like, holy shit, this is happening. There's one that stands out.
Yeah, there's one that was the biggest, and then one that probably had the biggest impact. So we booked it was in Temecula, the Temecula Balloon and Wine Festival, and it was Justin Moore. Do you know Justin Moore?
Yeah.
And Frankie Ballard. And it was we had booked it. We were living in South Beach. Smidge and I got in my 2005 Honda Element, drove all the way across country. Rich Redmond from Jason Aldean.
Jason Aldean's drummer.
I called him and I said, hey, I have a show in California. Can you hook me up with a band leader? He hooked me up with somebody in LA. I got a band, went and rehearsed with them. We went down and did the show. So a few months before the show, Justin Moore had won CMA for Best New Artist. Yeah, so we were like, yes, this is going to be an even bigger show than we thought. So it was like 23,000 in a massive field.
23,000. And was it under the Tim Charron band?
Oh, yeah.
At that point?
Yeah.
So you went over there, you played this gigantic show.
Yeah.
And did you get paid?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
Well, no,
sometimes
actually, you're right. You're definitely right.
I mean, shit, sometimes you're paying.
No,
I mean,
definitely. That's another whole business discussion.
So you got paid for that. So that was the biggest show you did. What was another question? Who was the who was one of the nicest celebs? You know, all the celebs that you've met, all the people that you've opened up with, the people that you've had business relationships with. Can you drop a name of someone that you thought was really kind to you that might have been, you know, helped you out through the way or gave you some good advice? Or
well, definitely Charlie Daniels was great. He was. I'm getting. Told myself I wouldn't get emotional, but my dad was my dad is a fan of Charlie, and he was just so great to my dad. And one of the shows, because I opened for Charlie like I don't know, 10 times.
Wow!
And up there or random?
Up in New England, yeah. And I just remember one show in particular. We were sitting at the little backstage, which was literally behind the stage, and so we're basically on the stage, right? You know, right in this door, and it was me and Smidge and my dad, and you know, it was just such a great experience. It was just super cool, like because Charlie's fiddle tech and manager was right next to the door, and he was like talking to us and hanging out, and he'd be like, all right, you know, after this song, Charlie's gonna throw me his fiddle, and I'm gonna throw this one back, and you know, they had the whole thing going. So from the front of the stage, Charlie would throw the fiddle, and it was just such a cool thing to like. It's awesome for me to do stuff and to share it with Smidge, but to also share it with my dad.
You just shared it with our
that's priceless.
And now your dad's still around, I assume. And so you remember that moment like it was yesterday. Was that a big day for him?
Yeah.
And any chance, like, do you ever have pictures of? Do you have any pictures of some of these moments in your life, or you weren't a picture person? Were you the person that says, "You got to get a picture, got to get this moment"?
Oh man,
because I am.
I
don't
have
miss a moment.
everybody. The coolest thing about having awesome fans is when we play these big shows, especially in New England, where my biggest fan base is.
Right.
We'll get hundreds of pictures because they'll be all taking pictures
And
during
send
the
them
whole
to
show.
you.
And
Can you make sure that we get some of those?
Yeah, we
Because
definitely want to
our
put some up.
viewers definitely want to see
Whatever
some
you think
snippets
is-
of those that you'd want to share with your
I have
fans.
a great photo of me, my dad, and Charlie. It was
That's
great.
what I'm
That
saying.
sounds perfect.
So let's see. What was the other?
And the
last-
other, I just want
question?
to
Go
follow
ahead.
up with that, but the one that had the biggest impact and who is notoriously the greatest dude ever is Bret Michaels from Poison.
And where was that show that we've been watching on YouTube? That's got
Up in
Thousands.
Massachusetts.
That was in Massachusetts. Where at Massachusetts?
At Indian Ranch, Webster,
Indian
Mass.
Ranch?
Yeah.
And he was doing a show out there. Who else was on the bill? Were you on the bill?
Yeah. So we've opened for him there, I think, 6 times.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Who else was on the bill? Did he share?
It was just me
you
and
two?
me and
Oh, no
This
kidding.
is, this is great because a lot of people down here probably don't know all the times you open for Charlie or for Bret.
Yeah.
That's great.
And there's
Yeah.
a bunch of other names.
Yeah, I've
we
opened
didn't
for
even
like
touch on.
almost 45, maybe more. Big and Rich was an awesome one. They were
Okay.
great. They were super great. They invited us on the bus, and John gave me his number and everything. But going back to Bret is
He seems.
the
I've been
most-
following him for years.
He's so down.
I mean,
seems
when
so fun
when I was
and
a
down to
kid, I
earth,
was
you know?
following him. So I mean, he always seems straight up. He's like a great family. He's
so
always doing
kind.
stuff for the vets.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
he doesn't stop working, man. I
know.
didn't like that guy take 6 months off. He's always doing
And
another
I
show.
believe, didn't he have a heart condition?
Yeah,
had a
he
heart
did.
They had an
condition.
aneurysm.
Yeah.
Brain aneurysm.
Yeah, brain aneurysm.
That was years
Okay,
ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, just for all the people out there, share with them if they want to, like you said earlier, if they want to come see your next show, they can follow you on Facebook. And you said your next show is April 28th.
Yep.
Where's the location again?
That is in Miami Beach at the Bass Museum.
And do you have anything else that's coming up that you want to share with anybody off the top of your
Any new
head?
music?
Or
Let's see. We just shot. We had a really awesome. We did something called the Sharonathon at Margaritaville because we play there all the time.
Yeah.
You guys play there. So we did 3 days in a row, and we had some fans come down from all different parts of the country and stuff. Excuse me. So we shot a video for my new single. It's called "I Got 99 Problems, but a Beach Ain't One." And
you didn't steal that from anybody, did you? Jay-Z?
That's a little Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm very excited about it. I wrote it with my buddy Marty Dodson, who he has multiple #1 hits.
Big
but
writer.
Yeah, he wrote one of my favorite songs, "Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven" by Kenny Chesney, which was a massive #1 hit for Kenny, and George Strait also cut it.
So I'm surprised you two have never.
Yeah, well, we will.
We will.
We will.
Okay, so before we leave, I just want to say how exciting was this to have Tim Charron and his
Absolutely.
story on here. This is what this podcast is about. Tim, I want you to grab that guitar and just give me a couple chords on it. Keith Ridenour, once again, you did a great
Always a
job.
pleasure, buddy.
You always ask great questions. Jason, you didn't get a camera on you. You didn't do a camera thing. Any chance you could just stick your head in this real quick? And you
Come
do
on,
that?
Jason.
Come on, Jason.
We need some
Jason's
Jason
right
in here.
with me. Give me, strum it out, Jason. So I want to thank everybody. This is my friend Jason Sedowy. This is my brother,
Yeah.
Keith Ridenour, not Randy. And that's Tim Charron, everybody.
The man.
Hit it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will see you next time. Jason, can you give us approximate date on when this might broadcast? Can you look?
This
Would
will be
it be maybe
coming
next
out
Wednesday?
This Wednesday.
Would it be May 1st or no? Let's see. What would next Wednesday be?
No, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but Wednesday and a few days from now, I think today's.
Well, we will post when this will broadcast.
Yes, for sure.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And we appreciate you again. Tim, thanks for being here.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks for
buddy.
having me. Appreciate
And
it.
we'll see you
That was
next
fun.
time. Woo! 1, 2, 3.
I got a friend. He's a little confused.
All right, buddy.
Great,
Nice.
man.
That's what we do.
All right.